Good day. So in this video we're going to talk about how to make your drawings come alive. In this particular episode we're going to talk about shading and blending. So when you make an object, what makes it three-dimensional is actually how the object is placed against light and how the shadows are formed. So when you do make an object, you always have to consider where you want to put your light source and how you wanna show the object under light. So when you talk about an object, whether it be a sphere or a square, you have to put in reference where you want the light source to come from. So if you were to have an object like a ball, say this is a ball. If your object, if there's light coming from this side, this area will be darker. Okay, so it depends on which object or which object you want to draw with shading. So you have a sphere, you have a square, a cube, a rectangle, or a cylinder. So to give you an idea, we will start off with again, we'll start off with a sphere. So when you do the sphere, you have to determine where is your light source coming from. It's coming from here, it's coming from here. So let's say I want the light to come from this side. Okay, so the light is actually coming from here on this direction. Okay, this is our light source. So when you do your shading, you have to consider that the light is coming from this direction, coming down, up, coming down. So the darkest area, the lightest area will be here, and it gradually gets darker as it goes down until finally you will have a dark area here, which will be your shadow. So when we do it, the way to do this is to start off with the darkest area. Okay, you have from this area should be darker. Okay, then you want it to start gradually getting lighter. Okay, so we can remove these lines here. So you can have different styles of line directions, which we call cross hatching. It is here that we see that the light is actually on this side, and the darker side is on, the shadow will be on this side. Switch my cameras. So when you consider shading, you always have to keep where your light source will be, especially if you have multiple objects. So let's say I made a shadow here for this particular sphere. Now if if I were to add another sphere here, right next to it, the lighting will also be the same. So it'll also be on this side. So it'll also be on this side, right here. When you see that, you actually have the light coming from this direction, coming down on you, on the object, on this direction. Okay, so we have to create, to make it more realistic. When you put an object and there's a light source, you see that there's actually a shadow right here. It's going to be the same when you draw an object. So in this case, it's a sphere. By putting shadow, you're actually placing it on a floor or on the ground. Want to make this stand out, you can switch pencils. You can use a 4B. This is a 4B pencil, or 6B. So the higher the number, the darker it gets. Okay, so we can start with a 4B and blend it. So when you talk about first knowing your light source, helps to be able to understand that the light is always coming from one direction. I mean, you can have multiple lighting sources, but it's easier to start off with just one, so that you know and you can determine where your shadows will be, it's easier to just know from one direction rather than multiple directions. Okay. When you know where your light is coming from, your shadow will be directly behind it. Right? So what will help is to have a degree of degrees of darkness, degrees of shading. See that it is way darker here, bottom. Okay. One great method of blending is actually using your fingers and just kind of blend it over. Kind of reduces the line patterns of the object. So we can do the same treatment with, let's say I want to put what if I were to draw a car here, maybe a toy car. basic shapes to make the form. Okay, what if I were to make this beetle? This line here. We can clean this up a bit. There's a reason why I keep using Volkswagen Beetle for demonstration, is because it has a lot of curve forms, which is a great illustration for shading and blending. Okay, so let's put wheels. So if our light source is coming from here, our shadows will also, our dark areas will be right here. Here in the back. since this part is the nearest to the light source, it's still curved, so I would do it like this. And this area here is actually below the hood. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make this usually with the car you have like a line right here because of its reflective coating. So the light is coming from here. So if we were to add maybe another object right here, another object in this area. Let's say I want to put the cylinder. Light source coming from here because it's further away. See, from here the light is pointing in this direction and this is going to be pointing towards this direction. Okay, so you have a varying, so wherever this goes, your shadow should also point in that same direction. Darker area compared to this side. So we actually, well, I usually like to start from somewhere here because it's a cylinder. So it's a bit lighter. Because this is an edge, the shadow is actually sharper, and from here you make it gradual, gradient, going out. There's actually is darker in this area than it is over there. Why? Because the light kind of radiates towards this direction and goes around the object. Okay. Then we can make this a bit darker, just so it becomes prominent. Okay. And so the basics of that is just knowing where you want your lights to come from. Okay, so when your lighting is coming from these directions, you already know what areas you need to shade, what areas you need the light to bounce. Again, you can use your finger, just kind of blend it. Okay. The reason why this area right here is actually not shaded is because the light is directly on top of that. So unlike this, there are areas where it's shaded and this is actually getting lighter. Why? Because this is a curved surface and this is a flat surface. So it really depends on what object you are making while you're shading. Hope it helps. So yeah, and from here, so when you're doing the shading, even when you have a face, say you want to draw a face, your lighting is still coming from here. Okay, start with a circle. These are your eyes. To make this drawing come alive, you have to know that there's gonna be highlights here and shadows on this side. Okay, so there'll be shadows on this side. So here, this area will be darker. This side of the face will be darker than this side. Because the nose is elevated, you'll have a shadow. So it's a nice way to play around with the mood of your drawing. If you want it to be more dark and sinister. Let's not forget his eyebrows. His nose. His ears will be here. But because it's under behind the light, it's kind of dark. So the neck, from here, the neck on this area will be dark because of the shadow. This side of the hair will be darker. You see, you can see that there's actually depth with the person. He has a shirt. So you can see that this is actually darker and lighter. Come up with shadows. Again, this is just basic principles of knowing where your light source should be and where the shadow should be. Light area, the shadow area. Light area, the shadow area. Okay. Same here, light area, shadow area. So, okay, so there you go. And you know, as you continue to draw and develop, for me, mastering shadowing of spheres is actually harder than the other objects. Why? Because sphere involves a lot of blending. Okay, so it's actually harder to master. In this case, if the light is coming from this direction, it's different from this area right here. Why? Because the light is actually shining on this, and it's actually darker here. Okay, so I like to start my dark spots right here. I don't know if you noticed, but as I shade, I'm actually twisting my pencil around so I can have a nice tip. It's just a trick I picked up from a friend, and you know, it's nice to keep your pencil to keep your tip sharp as well, without having to sharpen it all the time. Just kind of shift it around, rotate it every so often. Okay, so the idea behind this is just really knowing where your light source will be coming from and how you want to treat it. So you can see that, you know, the lighting is coming from right here, right on the top. When you look at it this way, you can see that, you know, it gives a little more depth to your drawings, and how you wanna make it more come alive. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope it helps. So we'll be talking about other topics in the next episode. Thank you so much. Enjoy.